This video provides easy-to-follow instructions for you to create this connecting rod using Onshape. Click below in the video description. Here you will find links to all of the resources you need to complete this project. First, there is a link for a PDF instruction sheet. Click this link and open the project drawings and specifications in a new browser tab. Next, if you don't have an Onshape account, use one of these links to create a free account at the Onshape website. Last, there are links for each of the segments of this video. The video instruction is organized into 5 segments. In segment 1, you will read the engineering drawings. Segment 2 will establish the design intent. In segment 3, you will create the part model using Onshape. Next, you will check the accuracy of your model by checking its mass properties. Last, you will check the design intent by making changes to the model to see if it will update correctly. Now you are ready to open Onshape in another browser tab and begin the project. In this segment, we'll read the engineering drawing for this connecting rod. Let's start by identifying the views provided in the drawings. First, there is an isometric view showing the rod as a 3-dimensional pictorial. Next, 3 orthographic views. On the bottom left, a front view. Projected above the front view, the top view. Projected to the right of the front view, the right side view. When planning a parametric model, we first need to identify its basic shapes and included features. The small end of the rod is circular with a through hole. The big end of the rod is a semicircular arc. Both ends have the same width. The 2 ends are connected by a beam with a uniform height and thickness. On both sides of the beam is a groove with semicircular ends. The big end of the rod has through holes for the bolts for attaching the end cap. The part is symmetrical top to bottom and left to right. Next, we'll look at the dimensions and notes. First, the dimensions are in millimeters. The overall length measured between circle centers is 200 millimeters. On the small end, the through hole has a diameter of 25 millimeters. The diameter of the concentric circular end is 35 millimeters. On the big end, the center arc has a radius of 25 millimeters or diameter of 50. The outer edge has a radius of 30 millimeters. The width of both ends is 25 millimeters. The width of the center beam is 12 millimeters. The height is 25 millimeters. The center beam joins the small end in a tangent arc with a radius of 22 millimeters, and the big end in a tangent arc with a radius of 30 millimeters. The height of the bolt flanges on the top and bottom of the big end are defined by the location of the hole centers that are concentric to the top and bottom at a height of 78 millimeters. The front view specifies their height and width at 15 millimeters. The right view shows the top edges are rounded with a radius of 6 millimeters and a through hole with a diameter of 6 millimeters. The hole locations are centered on the part at a distance of 78 millimeters. The front view shows a relief slot located 40 millimeters from the center of the small end and is centered vertically on the beam. The slot is 100 millimeters long center to center. The slot ends have a radius of 7.5 millimeters, making the slot 15 millimeters high and has a depth of 3 millimeters. The top view shows the slots are symmetrical on both sides of the beam. The notes tell us the units are in millimeters. The mass is measured in grams. The material is aluminum 7075. Next, let's establish our design intent. To start, we need to identify any features that might be changed during the design process. For this connecting rod, the length of the rod, as measured between centers, may need to be revised longer or shorter. When the length of the beam is changed, the length of the slot should adjust to maintain the same distance from each end. Next, we can identify the features that should not change when the part is revised. In this case, all of the other features of the part will remain unchanged. So how should the part behave when its length is changed? The part should be able to have the length of the beam changed, and the slot should also increase in equal amount, while all of the other features should remain unchanged. Before we model the part in Onshape, let's preview the steps in the modeling process. First, from the drawing, we will identify the profile we will use for the base sketch. In this project, we will use the front view to create the base sketch. Sketch 1 will be placed on the front sketch plane and the origin will be placed at the center of the big end of the rod. This is the base sketch. From sketch 1, extrude 1 will add the thickness for the bearing ends of the rod. Sketch 1 will be used again for extrude 2 to create the thickness for the center beam and end features. Fillet 1 and 2 will round the top face of the bolt flanges. A hole feature will be used to place the bolt holes through the flanges. Sketch 2 will define the size and location of one slot on the side of the beam. Extrude 3 will remove materials to create one slot. Mirror 1 will copy the slot to the other side of the beam, resulting in the finished part model. So now, let's get started in creating the connecting rod. I have started a new Onshape document and named it Connecting Rod. The workspace units are set to millimeters, and the mass is set to grams. Start a new sketch and choose the front sketch plane. Use N from the keyboard to view the sketch normal to the screen. Use P on the keyboard to turn off the visibility of the sketch planes. We will start with a construction line to define the length of the rod between centers. Click on the origin to start the line and stretch it to the left, making sure that it is horizontal. Click to end the line and then use Escape on the keyboard to end the line tool. Click on the Dimension tool and click on the line. Instead of entering an amount, enter a hashtag from the keyboard. Click on Create a variable. Name this variable Length. Enter 200 millimeters for value. Use the green check to close and hit Enter to set the length. The variable should now be listed at the top of the feature list and will be applied to the features below it. Choose Center Point Circle from the toolbar. Use the end of the construction line for circle center. Set the diameter at 25 millimeters for the hole on the small end. Click concentric to the center for the outer circle and enter 35 for the diameter. This completes the small end of the rod. For the big end, choose the center point arc from the toolbar. Click on the origin for the center and sketch a semicircle with the ends vertical to the origin. Enter 25 for the radius. Use the origin again for a second arc to the outside. Enter 30 for the radius. This looks right so far. Let's pause and look back at the drawing. Because the part is symmetric top to bottom, we only need to sketch the top half and then we can mirror it to create the bottom half. Next, let's sketch the bolt flange on the big end. The drawing shows the flange as 15 millimeters by 15 millimeters. Notice that the bottom aligns with the intersection here, and the shoulder has a length of 7 millimeters. Choose Line from the toolbar. Sketch the basic shape of the flange. I will move the cursor over to this edge, then move vertical to align the end horizontal to the point. And add the line for the shoulder. Use the Dimensions tool to add the dimensions. This looks right. Now we can sketch a line for the top of the beam. The width of the beam is 25 millimeters. Use the Dimension tool to click on the line and then the construction line that represents the center line of the part. Drag the cursor below and click. We can now dimension the full width of the beam at 25 millimeters. The end of the line connects to the small end with a tangent arc. Choose Tangent Arc from the toolbar. Click coincident to the end of the line and coincident to the circle. Enter 22 for the radius. The end of the arc needs to be tangent to the circle. Choose Tangent from the constraint menu. Click on the arc and then the circle. The arc turns black, showing it is fully constrained. For the arc on the big end, again choose Tangent Arc from the toolbar. Click coincident to the end of the line and coincident to the shoulder. Enter 30 for the radius. All of the lines are now black, indicating they are fully constrained. This completes the top half of the part. Click on Mirror from the toolbar. We are prompted to choose a center line. Click on the construction line between centers. Now we will choose the entities to mirror. Use a window to choose the lines and arcs of the sketch. This is mirrored to the bottom, showing a fully enclosed sketch. This looks correct. Use the green check to close. We can now extrude the sketch to add thickness. The ends have a depth of 25 millimeters, while the beam has a depth of 12 millimeters. Click on Extrude on the feature toolbar. From the sketch, click on the bearing ends of the part. These will be new. For depth, enter 25 millimeters. Check Symmetric to center the depth. This looks right. Use the green check to close. Notice in the parts list, this has created two parts. We can join them when extruding the beam. Choose Extrude from the feature toolbar. In the feature list, click on the eye in Sketch 1 to turn on its visibility. Click on the beam portion of the sketch. For the depth, enter 12 millimeters. Check Symmetric to center the depth. Click on Add to join the parts. Check the box, Merge with all. This looks right. There is now one part in the parts list. Use the green check to close. Next, we can round the ends of the bolt flanges and add the holes. The ends are rounded with a radius of 6 mm, forming a semicircular end. The through holes are concentric to the semicircular end with a diameter of 6 mm. We will use a fillet to round the ends. Click on Fillet in the feature toolbar. Choose Full Round as the type. For the first side, click on one side of the flange. Click on the other side for the second side. Click on the top for the faces to round. This looks right. Use the green check to accept. Repeat the process for the bottom flange. Next, we will add the holes using a hole feature. Click on Hole on the feature toolbar. This will be metric. They will be simple. They will be drilled. The drill size will be 6 mm. Start from the sketch plane. For the termination, they will be through all. For the sketch points to place holes, we will use mate connectors. We know that the semicircular ends of the flange will have a system-generated mate connector at their center point. We can use these to place the holes. Hover on the edge of the semicircular end and the center mate connector will appear. Click to select it and the hole is placed. We can now place the other hole on the bottom flange. From the drawings, the distance between the holes should be 78 mm. Let's use the measure tool to check. Click on the measure tool at the bottom right of the screen. Click on the top hole and then the bottom hole. This shows the distance between centers at 78 mm, confirming that the placement is correct. Use the X to close the measure tool. Next, we need to place the slot on the side of the beam. Start a new sketch. Click on the face of the beam to use as the sketch plane. Use N on the keyboard to view normal to the sketch plane. Click on the Use tool on the toolbar. Click on the center hole on the small end to activate the center point for use in the sketch. Start a construction line to define the center of the slot. Hover on the circle center and move the cursor to the start of the groove, keeping the projection horizontal. Then click to start the line. Click again at an approximate endpoint. Click on Dimension on the toolbar. Dimension the distance from the center of the small hole to the start of the construction line to 40 mm. Dimension the construction line to 100 mm. Dimension the end of the construction line to the origin and use Enter to accept the dimension. Notice that this last dimension is gray. This means that it is a driven dimension and its value is determined by the other two dimensions. From our design intent, we want the slot to be able to change if the length of the beam changes. For this to happen, the distance from the origin to the end of the slot should be a fixed dimension. Right-click on the dimension. From the pop-up menu, choose Change to a driving dimension. The dimensions now turn red, indicating an error because all of the dimensions can't be driving dimensions. Right-click on the 100 mm dimension for the construction line. From the pop-up menu, choose Change to driven dimension. Notice that this dimension now is gray, indicating it is now a driven dimension. Now, if the length of the beam is changed, the slot will lengthen while keeping the location of the ends at their original distance from both ends of the rod. We can now use the construction line to create the slot. Click on Slot on the sketch toolbar. Click on the construction line to define the slot. Double-click on the width and enter 15 mm. Click the left mouse button to end the slot. This looks good. Use the green check to close. We can now use the sketch to create the slots. Click on Extrude on the feature toolbar. Click on Remove. For the sketch region, click on the sketch. For the depth, enter 3 mm. This looks good. Use the green check to close. To place the slot on the other side of the beam, we can use Mirror. Click on Mirror on the feature toolbar. From the drop-down menu, choose Feature Mirror. For the feature to mirror, choose the slot. For the mirror plane, use P on the keyboard to turn on visibility of the planes. Click on the front default plane to use as the mirror plane. This looks correct. Use the green check to end. The connecting rod is now complete. In this segment, we'll check the accuracy of the model by checking its mass properties. To check the model, the mass units should be set to grams and the material set to aluminum 7075. If the size and shape of your model was completed accurately, the mass should be 189.508 grams. Let's look at this process step by step. First, open the document that contains the model of the connecting rod. Next, check the workspace units and make sure that mass was set to grams. Next, set the material to aluminum 7075. Go to the part in the parts list. Right-click and choose Assign Material. In this case, we're searching for aluminum 7075 with a density of 0.003. Click to select it. Next, go down to the lower right corner and click on the Display Mass Properties button. When the dialog box opens, click on the part, and the display shows a mass of 189.508 grams. If this was your result, then your part is accurate and matches the specifications. If not, we can troubleshoot to locate the sketch or feature that has an error. First, locate the rollback bar in the feature list. Move the rollback bar up to just below Extrude 1. The mass now reads 33.105 grams. If you have an error here, examine Sketch 1 or Extrude 1, checking the size of the bearings. Now move the rollback bar down to below Extrude 2. This adds material for the beam. The mass is now 221.464 grams. If you have an error here, examine Sketch 1 or Extrude 2, checking the size of the beam. Now move the rollback bar down to below Fillets 1 and 2. This removes the material to round the top surfaces of the bolt flanges. The mass is now 220.161 grams. If you have an error here, examine settings for Fillets 1 and 2. Now move the rollback bar down to below the 6 mm hole feature. This removes the material to form the through hole in the flanges. The mass is now 217.778 grams. If you have an error here, examine the specifications used for the 6 mm hole. Next, move the rollback bar down to below Extrude 3. This removes the material to form one side of the slot. The mass is now 203.643 grams. If you have an error here, examine the specifications used for Sketch 2 and Extrude 3 for the slot. Now move the rollback bar to the bottom. The mass is now 189.508 grams. Congratulations! Your model should now match the specifications shown in the drawing. In this segment, we will make some revisions to the part and check if our design intent has been applied correctly. We will start by reading the revision drawings to identify the features that will be changed. First, the length of the beam has been increased by 50 mm to 250 mm. With this, the length of the slot on the side of the beam has also been increased by the same amount to 150 mm. The other features have all remained unchanged. If the part updates correctly, the revised mass should now be 219.013 grams. Now we will make the revisions to the connecting rod. I have opened the Onshape document that contains the part. Our design intent anticipated that the distance between centers may need to be revised, so this distance was set as a variable during the modeling process. In the feature list, the variable is here at the top of the list. For editing, click on the Variable Table button on the right. Double-click on the length and change the value to 250 mm. I can see that the model updates without errors in the feature list. I can also see that the slot has increased. Let's check the length of the slot. Click on the Measure tool in the bottom right of the screen. Click on each arc at the ends of the slot. The distance between centers is measured as 150 mm, which is the correctly updated amount. Now, click on the mass properties and click on the part. The new mass is 219.013 grams. If your model has updated to this amount, congratulations, your model has revised correctly without errors. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, look for more projects at cadvideotutor.com. Also, hit the like or subscribe button. If you have a question, leave a comment.